Welcome back to Scene Rundown. Let us watch Shogun Episode 1. The events of Shogun take place in 1600. Portuguese Catholics are successfully negotiating with Japan while fending off European Protestants. After his death, the Taiko of Osaka, Japan's supreme ruler, named 5 regents to rule Japan until his son is 16 years old to claim the throne. A British ship is spotted heading towards Japan as all of this is happening. Although the captain has lost all hope due to the ship's disarray, lack of food and water, and sense of being lost, John Blackthorne, the pilot, is certain they are getting close. Despite Blackthorne's best efforts to persuade him to continue, the captain shoots himself. Shortly after the ship arrives in Japan, the samurai squad inspects it and discovers that Blackthorne is not the only survivor. What role will this play in the political rivalry amongst the regents? One of the 5 regents in charge of Japan, Lord Yoshi Toranaga, is first introduced to us in Shogun Episode 1. Along with his general Hiramatsu, his son Yoshi Nagakato, and the rest of his gang, he proceeds to meet Lord Ishido Kazunari. Toranaga is accused by Ishido of abusing the authority that the late Taiko bestowed upon him by agreeing to 6 marriages. This strengthened his fief kanto, which may refer to the estate that is under Toranaga's jurisdiction or the extent of his control. Lord Ishido, Lord Kiyama, Lord Sugiyama, and Lord Ono are the other 4, the regents. They hear Toranaga's assurance that the country's peace and order won't be disturbed simply because his estate is becoming larger. He is accused by Ishido of abducting Lady Ochiba, the mother of the heir. Toranaga claims that Lady Ochiba's sister, his daughter-in-law, is in labor right now, which is why she needs her support. That's a flimsy justification, Ishido claims, adding that Toranaga is holding Lady Ochiba captive in order to protect himself. Ishido informs Toranaga that the Council of Regents believes he is unsuited to have such great power, and that, in addition to returning Lady Ochiba, he should get ready to be impeached. Tadayoshi in particular is incensed by this, but Toranaga maintains his composure. Rather, he expresses regret for his subjects' actions. Ishido departs after giving Toranaga 7 days to complete the task at hand. Hiramatsu and Toranaga discuss Usami Tadayoshi's marriage to Fuji, Hiramatsu's grandchild. Although Tadayoshi promised to conduct seppuku, harakiri suicide, Toranaga claims he doesn't approve of it, though it's unclear if he will stop it entirely. Hiramatsu warns him that the regents will undoubtedly attempt to assassinate them as soon as Lady Ochiba returns, putting their lives in jeopardy as well. He must thus remain in their open prison while giving the impression that he is facing an impossible situation. Hiramatsu needs to investigate the Erasmus, the ship issue in Ajiro in the interim. It appears that Ajiro follows Lord Kashigi Yabushige's instructions and is eager to examine the barbarian ship for himself. John's crew colleagues start to accuse him of bringing disaster upon them, expecting the worst. John tells them that if they pretend to be innocent traders who got lost and ended up in Japan, nothing bad will happen to them. Having said that, it will be game over for the Japanese if they do discover that the English sailors are there to further their own country. Fuji approaches Tadayoshi, who gives her the order to give him her son. When Fuji makes threats to end her own life, Lady Mariko steps in. Even though Tadayoshi alone bears responsibility for his own and his child's fate, he nevertheless acts in a way that betrays no empathy. He gets put in his place by Mariko. For the sake of Toranaga, she persuades Fuji to put down her knife and live. Because of Tadayoshi's foolishness, Fuji gives up her son even though she doesn't want to. Mariko laments this moment, and it appears from a fleeting recollection that she has witnessed something similar before. The focus of Shogun then turns to Ajiro, where Kashigi Yabushige is first presented to us. Kashigi Omi, his nephew, makes an unsuccessful attempt to free every English prisoner. After separating John from the rest of his group, he scares and humiliates him until he realizes that he is not in charge in Japan. After that, he is brought to Yabushige, who uses a priest as a Portuguese interpreter to make sense of John's identity. The priest lies to Yabushige because the English and Portuguese are at war. John shows that he is not a Christian, despite the fact that he and the priest are both Christians. He sees the cross and stamping on it in order to escape being slain. In an odd way, this makes Yabushige want to punish someone, so he gives John a place to stay while boiling one of his crew members. Toranaga is seen having fun with Lord Yaechio, the heir, indicating that he gets along well with him, unlike the other regents who most likely don't. Yaechio is instructed by the daimyō to go study so that she can voice her concerns to Toranaga. This is about the child and the clan's safety. She assures him that his name does not make the regents afraid of him. He is feared by them due to his Minawara ancestry. She informs him that the only thing that will save him and Yaechio is for him to become the shogun that Japan needs. On the other hand, Toranaga has no desire to follow in his forefathers' footsteps or take on the role of shogun. Daimyō highlights that the Council of Regents will prevail if he stays out of positions of authority and maintains his composure in the face of everything. Yabushige is enjoying a sensual performance art in Ajiro, where a courtesan named Kiku and his kosho are involved. When John awakens the next morning, he discovers that he has not died. He receives food and fresh clothing. Even though one of his crewmen has been slain and the others are withering away in an underground cell, he still doesn't understand why he is getting such good treatment. Nevertheless, he wants to meet Yabushige because it appears that he is interested in him. Because Kashigi Omi believes Lord Toranaga is unaware of the existence of the barbarian ship, he questions Yabushige about why the latter is withholding this information from Toranaga. Yabushige informs Omi that Toranaga's destiny has already been decided and that he is no longer interested in learning about what will transpire in Japan in the future. Omi predicts that a war will break out as soon as Toranaga is slain. Ishido will have to fight against the Christian weapons of the Christian lords. Yabushige will therefore acquire the trust of the Christian lords at that point and advance up the ranks if he gives them Christian weapons from the ship. These are cannons and guns. Funny enough, General Hiromatsu arrives on the shores of Ajiro to tend to the Erasmus, so Kashigi Omi's happiness is short-lived. When Yabushige realizes he is going to lose his advantage, he tries to persuade Hiromatsu and Toranaga that he is capable of taking care of the ship and its weaponry. Hiromatsu promptly puts Yabushige in his proper place. Yabushige gives in and tells Omi to look for the spy who supplied Toranaga all the ship's specifications, since he understands that if he acts recklessly now, it will affect his future. A Spaniard named Rodriguez, who sails for the Portuguese, brings John out and brings him, Yabushige, Hiromatsu, and their soldiers to Osaka. The voyage turns out to be quite dangerous, which is when John's maritime expertise comes in useful. Upon reaching the island's shores, Hiromatsu and Yabushige don't seem to care that Rodriguez, who has presumably gone overboard and lost. John claims it is English tradition not to leave any man behind. After voicing his objection, John sets out with Yabushige and a few of his men to find Rodriguez. They stopped John from rappelling when they found Rodriguez down a cliff. Yabushige had to prove himself that he can rescue him, but is injured going down. He was able to pull up Rodriguez but slipped and fell and almost sacrificed himself, then to drown in failure. Yabushige earns John's respect in the process. At the conclusion of the first episode of Shogun, Toranaga talks with Mariko about what will happen to the Usami family. Then, in an attempt to utilize John to turn the tables and defeat the other regents, Toranaga enlists Mariko as his counselor and interpreter. Additionally, it's his way of honoring Mariko's father, Akechi Jinsai, who reportedly gave his life 14 years ago for a just cause. Following their return to Osaka, Rodriguez announces that he has discovered John's journal. It clearly states that John is a representative of a nation that seeks to subdue the Spanish, travel to Japan, and open trade with them. It is a code word for the English wanting to invade Japan. Rodriguez draws a gun on John as he tries to kill him, and John retreats. He bemoans the fact that he will not perish in this wretched land. Japan, according to Rodriguez, is the height of human civilization, and he still has a lot to learn about it. A brief montage ensues in which the baby son of Fuji is slain. The identity of the spy in Ajiro is revealed to be the one who initially noticed the ship, and John is introduced to Toranaga and Mariko. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for the next videos.